you know, at the end of the day, we have to get the business done.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So you still have to get your job done. And what happens is the employee gives their recommendation on how they're going to achieve their job in this kind of flexible work arrangement without impacting their goals or their assignments. This is a situation where the individual contributor and the manager work through that. Once they understand that, that's what pushes someone over onto the program. I think our first one was always a bit scary. And all of a sudden you get these great results and you say, perhaps we can expand this in more situations. So I will have an individual come in through a skip level or a survey or something else and say, you know, I'm really troubled. I've got some changes have happened at my home and I really like my job. I want to exceed at my job. EMC is a great place to work, but I've got this challenge at home. How can we come up with a marriage here that will work where you as the manager feel satisfied in my work effort, but at the same time I can also feel satisfied that I'm being able to manage my personal life and my work life, and everyone's a winner. I think that they ought to look at the individual in terms of how has their performance been in the past. I would strongly look at their recommendation on how they expect to manage their job now in this flexible work arrangement. And if there's some level of comfort in there, they should give it a try. These flexible work arrangements can be reviewed on a quarterly basis to make sure that they're working to benefit not only the company but the employee, and that everyone's achieving what they need to achieve. We have had situations where we thought the request was too much of a challenge, too much business risk. But I would honestly tell you, out of the 28%, one situation fell into that category. One just didn't make sense. And I think that the individual requester kind of walked away and said, you know what, I agree. There's some byproducts that come out of this. Not only do we have a situation where, you know, goal achievement is made, and at the same time people are getting this flexible work arrangement where there's more job satisfaction. There's also the fact that you may not need as much brick and mortar as a manager, and you actually save on your facilities charge, which I don't think that's the ultimate driver, but it's kind of a great byproduct. And also, you know, commuting expenses, so that this candidate or this requester, perhaps, you know, they were spending $100 a week on commuting, and now they're working from home 2 days a week. Well, they just cut it down by 20%. I think we have a higher degree of employee satisfaction in their jobs. We're still meeting or exceeding goals. And we're getting some benefits in reduced costs to manage our overall operations. And we're thinking green because folks aren't on the road, perhaps, you know, using fuels and things like that. So we do get a little benefit there too. And these people aren't totally disconnected. Again, let's think about the technology we're using today. With emails and alike, there's a fair amount of dialogue back and forth. And, you know, there's the phone. We have live meeting activity. We've got web activity, live meetings that we can do. So again, the technology enablers that we have here as resources to our company have enabled us, even in those collaborative situations, to still get the job done. Now, there might be some isolated situations where you just got to be there, and that's when you make the exception. And they tend to be exceptions. Yeah. I think that today, some of the folks that were around back in the 90s and whatnot will have maybe some difficulty, having not had any experience in this. But I don't think that the DNA has changed. I think that the people are still very goal-oriented. They want to achieve and overachieve. It's just that there's a different way, there's several ways of getting that same job done. And I think that when you see the benefits of having people still meet and exceed those goals, but at the same time being able to do it in a flexible work arrangement, everybody's a winner. I think that if you look back in some of the early days, there was a lot of dead and wounded because of that high achievement expectation. We probably had a great deal of attrition because of it. So we were burning up people. I think in today's environment, we're taking some of that burden off and perhaps retaining more and being more competitive because, and I have heard people leave the company. I've had it happen in my own situation before, work-wise. I'm going to another company because they offer this, and it fits my lifestyle better, and I feel more satisfied in my job. So without this kind of in our quiver as an offering, I think we are not as competitive as an employer here, and not only in Massachusetts, but in other locations.